Hello, I'm Tiffany, creator of Red Petal Patterns, and today I want to talk about mattress stitch. Mattress stitch is the stitch you use to sew together two pieces of knitting. I know up until now you've probably thought you just slap them together and whip stitch. You just go around and around and around and around along your seam just like you did with crochet. And neither one of those are correct. You want to do what is called mattress stitch, and mattress stitch makes a flat, smooth, even seam, and it has no bulk, and it's invisible. And the way mattress stitch is done is you have two pieces of knitting next to each other with the right side facing out, and you lay them on a table in front of you, nice and flat next to each other, and you're going to work in either side of that first stitch. Most patterns have a selvage edge worked into them, and depending on the pattern writer and the designer, this could be knit every row so that one stitch is in garter. It could be you slip it at the beginning, every row. It could be that you work this one in purl while the rest of them were worked in knit. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but it should have on either side one sacrificial edge stitch, and that is for sewing. So if you were to do increases and decreases, you usually don't do them in the first stitch. You will do one edge stitch, so you would knit one stitch, then you would do your decrease or your special stitch, your decrease or increase here. And the reason you do that is so that you have a nice smooth edge to work into. So instead of having stair steps from increases and decreases, your stair steps will be on the inside and your one column of stitches will be on the outside, so you have a smooth surface to sew into, and they'll match on both sides. So if one side was straight and one side had increases and decreases in it, they'll still match up because you had the straight edges to sew together. When you hold up a piece of knitting, if you were to tug those stitches apart, you would see ladders in between those stitches going all the way up. And we covered this in the Fixing Mistakes segment, that you have these ladders in between the stitches. And the key to a nice smooth finish is making sure that you work in that ladder just past the first stitch every single time, all the way up your seam. You want to be on the same column all the way up, if possible. If there's increases and decreases here, obviously that's going to move, but you want it to meet up as smoothly as possible on that outside edge. How this works is you would have a needle and yarn. You have your two pieces sitting in front of you with the right side facing. You always do mattress stitch from the right side. And you would work either from the top or the bottom, but you need to make sure you're going the same way every time. And you would take your needle and your yarn, and you would go in here, and then out, and it'll be two ladders. You can see here, 1, 2. So you're going to go in this way, pull it all the way through, and then you're going to come back up to the other side, and you're going to go in under these two ladders and back out and pull it through. And you don't want to make it snug at this point. And then you'll go over here, and you're going to go in where this yarn came out. And you're going to go in under two loops, back out. You'll come over to the other side. You're going to go in the same hole that this one came out of, under two loops, back out, and repeat. And you always want to go in where that yarn came out, and then come out two loops. and you just keep going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And this is what it looks like when you get done. Let's see if you can see that clearly enough. So I have zigzags here, and all of my yarns come in and out of the same hole all the way down on both sides. So after you do, depending on the yarn you're using and the size of your stitches, you want to do, 4 or 5 stitches, and then you will hold your top and pull the bottom, and you will do this pretty snug. And you really want that to be, like I said, every 4 or 5 stitches, you zigzag, yeah, that's about 5 times right here. And pull, and then you'll do the next set, pull, you'll do the next set, and pull. And you can see that completely disappears and makes a beautiful invisible seam on the outside. And on the inside, you've got a smooth, flat seam. I know it looks pretty bulky, but if you look, that's actually quite flat on the inside. It squishes down pretty easily, and it's flexible. You can feel it's a tad thicker than the stuff around it, but you don't have a cord there. It doesn't feel like a bulk or a cord. It just kind of fits in and kind of squishes flat. And that is mattress stitch, and this is how you should be sewing all of your knitting. You can do this on crochet too. For the crocheters, you would just work back and forth, back and forth, back and forth in the middle of your crochets, down the middle of your crochets instead of in between your crochets. And you can do the same thing and make a nice invisible seam. So that is mattress stitch, and I hope you get a chance to try this out because it feels like you're doing magic. I'll see you next time. Bye.